Open things up in Tralblazer here, we have to set up the initial ships. Now these are all in Sol, I just don't want to stack them there, there's enough crap there already. I'll just leave them off map for now. Each player selected their ships. Blue, since I had them before with 3 transports, I gave them that. Everyone else I kind of randomized in the sense that odd they take a transport, and then second choice, odd they take a transport. I'm not going to take odd they take a scout. Second choice, odd they take another scout. I'm not going to allow them to take 3 scouts. Well, red ended up taking 2 scouts and a transport. Everyone else took 3 transports. I've read online that overburdening on scouts is kind of a bad idea, even though you get, the potential of maybe making a lot of money off the D-class worlds. The problem is you're not setting up your trade routes quickly enough, and ships may be expensive. We'll see. We don't know what they're going to run at, right? Because people kind of set the price by what they're willing to bid on. They could get them for $1 each. And yeah, you have to pay $5 maintenance, but hey, they're going to make a fair amount of money. The problem is you got to have a little bit more than that $20 to fill a lot of transports, maybe. We don't know. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to go for the bidding. Unfortunately, I think the best thing to do is to do the Sol market first. I think that's the most likely that players would do. I'm not going to do that, though. I'm going to have each player bid their factor where nobody else can get involved. Now, they don't want the markets to collapse where their factor is, but they also really can't afford a lot of money. So let's take a look at our first factor here, which is Blue, who's at Y'all's World. Y'all's World is over here. It has 3 products: medicine, and I'm going to get these for $1 each, basically. Liquor, and oops, no, it has 2 products. So medicine and liquor, well, let's see what those sell at elsewhere, right? Consumption, liquor is worth $4 each. Medicine is worth $6 each. Ooh. Anywhere else? Medicine's worth 2, that's not very good. And it doesn't look like anybody else is interested in it. So I'm planning on delivering these to Earth. Unfortunately, yes, I do not want to bid this until I know what I get on Earth. So yeah, I mean, sure, I would gladly buy some medicine up, but I don't want to spend all my cash. So everybody's kind of interested in who's going to get to Sol. So I lied. I'm going to Sol first. This becomes interesting. Now, you don't have to go with your ships to where you've got your factor. There's no real reason for that. Which means now we have to look at all the production at Sol. Ships, ooh, what a deal. Germs, germplasm. Weapons, industry tech, and medical tech. There's a few of each of these. Let's see who wants what. We know they're not going to show up here at this point. Yeah, we see med. That's medicine rather than medical tech. So over here, medical tech, a fair demand and a good number. Germ, a crappy demand, not very interesting. Industry tech, only a B demand, which means we're not going to get a lot of money for it. So far, the medical tech looks pretty good with a C. Let's keep looking. Weapons at a C here. Fissionables. Fissionables are not purchasable here. We got a D on medical tech, a D on booster, but that's illegal. So you could end up busting out and like losing your starting money. You could take a shot with it, there's no question, but this will buy a couple medical tech. So it looks like medical tech's pretty damn interesting. If we look at the charts, and this is all the game is, and everybody kind of needs a copy of the charts. The best medical tech was an F, I think. No, I got a D. D. All right, so table D, their demand number is only 2. You can sell more than that. Uh-oh. Not going to give, you're not going to be able to get a lot of money off that because they don't demand enough of them. That price has to increase a little bit. Did we have any other good prices? Booster down here, but booster's not produced in Earth. So C at 2, that's not very good. Medical tech, A at 2, definitely crappy. Oh, we got another market up here. Forgot about this. Medical tech. Oh, I don't have my letters on that one. All right, we're going to have to copy those down. So a better market has been found than the medical. I was looking at the letters and didn't look. Germ plasma is a D over at Libertas. Now, these planets are all close enough. We can probably ship stuff without a screw up. Not sure, but I mean, it's still possible to screw up. They want 5 of them at D. Wow. So that's our ultimate thing. And we're looking at a 5 demand number at D. 1 would go for 18 bucks, 2 for 10 each. So we don't get much by adding a second one. Of course, if we're the only person delivering it, yeah, probably delivering one of them and one of something else makes sense. However, most of us have more than one ship that can deliver goods places. So we're going to look at the germplasm first, and gosh, I don't know where we're at. You know, nobody's going to deliver germplasm at kind of less than the bid price. And the bidding isn't secret, it's shouted out. How should I do that? I should probably get a couple of different colored dice for each person to indicate how many they want and what price they're willing to pay. There's only 2 available. I have the bonus of delivering all of the med tech that can be delivered this turn if I buy them both. So I think it's worth buying both of them because the price is pretty good. I don't remember where the hell we were. I have to talk about other things too. This was a MedTech C6. I could get 12 bucks for 2. Well, how high am I willing to go on my initial offer? I'll go, that's 3, 4. What's going on here? Okay, so I'm gonna put a bid of 4 bucks for 2 of them. Now, that's clearly not as good a deal as people are getting delivering the other thing that I just did, the germ plasma, right? Except there's 3 people delivering that. So the germ plasma was D at 5 with 3 people delivering. Those are only going to be 8 bucks each. So actually, Red's got a better deal here. So let's take a look at this again. 6 at, okay, so I'm looking at 12 bucks, so I'll make an 8 buck profit on each one. That's pretty damn good. Whereas these others, they're making a 9 buck profit, which is okay, but then they have to pad it with something that's going to be weaker. All right, pause time. About my camera. My camera started complaining when it gets down to like yellow, which means I have to swap batteries more often than I used to. I don't know what's happened. The crash has changed things. It used to just hard crash when it ran out of juice. Now it's like, got this, oh yeah, you've got like maybe 15 minutes or 10 minutes more of chatting. We're gonna can you now. Well, that isn't very good, but we'll work around it. I don't know. The reformat seems to have done something weird. All right, so a 2 of 4. Well, does anybody want to try to outbid him? He's got the bonus. Nobody can outbid him at 4 because he wants both of them. Yellow's willing to go up to 5. Green is also willing to go up. Let's see who got the jump. Green got the jump at 5. Is yellow going to go to 6? No. So now we've got a 2 at 5 here. Okay, this is really exciting. Does red want to overbid that? Red does not. So green is going to get to fill 2 of their ships with medtech, or 2 of their holds with medtech. I'll put that here, 2 medtech, and I paid $5 each. That's $10 I've just lost. Okay, well, the medtech. Now we check to see what happens to the demand there. And like I said, we're not going to play too much of this just because I can't film all of this and you can't really see what's going on with it. But okay, so we have a supply modifier. Current production was 2. That's -2. Average sale price was $5 times 1 1/3. Oh shit. 5/3 sounds like 2 more if you round up, so that's $3 total. So it was $5 times 1 1/3, 5, 6, $7. $7 minus the production means I have a +5 to the die roll. 10, 15, they're going to produce 1 more medtech. So now there will be 3 produced next turn. I definitely want to sell this stuff. Okay. And that ship is definitely going to Alpha C. Mark that down so I don't forget that. I think all the others are going elsewhere, are going to the one planet to deal that out because there's just not that much money to be made anywhere else. Okay, so that's 2 of our things. Industry tech, that's the next one of interest. Well, industry tech is really interesting to everyone who's going to Giles World, which is no one. Okay, let's keep looking. Did anyone else have 6A? I mean, A is so crappy that I'm just assuming it's no good, but it's still $9. That's not bad. Industry tech, we've only got 3 of them for sale. There's a D5 on industry tech going to Alpha C. Hey, that sounds pretty good. A D5. That gets us on that 18 again. Unfortunately, there's 3 industry tech to be bought. How are we going to figure this out? Yeah, we're going to play around with the dice again and see what happens. And I'm going to back away because, one, I don't want to be this precise. I want to kind of randomize more and not go through all this thinking where I'm rolling off for different people to see what they get. But more importantly, it's just not that interesting to watch. It's like someone told me I should do a playthrough of creating BattleTech mechs. And, you know, yeah, it's the most exciting part of the game to do. It would be like magic deck construction or something like that. It would be really fun to do, but how exciting is it to watch? I don't know. You know, same thing with making cars for Car Wars and the like. 3 tech. Red was willing to bid for 2 at 5. No one else can. There's only there's 3 available. So green went in for 1 at 4, saying, you know what? I'll go under that and buy another one. And blue said, no, I'll go for 1 at 5 as well, because there's room at one of the other markets to sell one for a good deal of money. Green, are they willing to pump it up? They might go to 2 at 6. They weren't before. Yep, they're going to go up to 2 at 6. So again, the fluctuation of what we have, that's going to get rid of blue's bid, as green has upped their bid. And we continue looking. The problem is there's other money to be made elsewhere. You don't have to make the money off of the highest valued things, but there are only so many things that are produced. Germ, plasma, maybe there was more money there somewhere, but the bidding on that's done. Medical's done and gone, all of it. So all that's left is weapons. There's only 2 weapons, and there isn't a lot of good markets for weapons. It's not terrible. Like there's a B at 3 here. Oh look, they're worth 5 each. You know, I could make some money off that. I don't see anything else that is produced. Oh wait, no, weapons C at 8. That's the good one. Wow, that's the best price out there. Nobody picked it up. So yeah, I mean, the weapons are going to sell too. And now that kind of puts a damper on everyone else. Now the question is, he's still got a 1 at 5. He doesn't have to buy his 2 if he doesn't want to. And that's why I say the amount that you bid for, it doesn't really matter that much. If anything, you're just giving a clue to other people. I'm not sure. No, he was willing to buy 2 at 5. I think that cancels him out. He has to buy those, assuming he has the cash. If he doesn't have the cash, he's screwed up. And we have to check that. Green, 2 at 6. He can't do that. Green's going to withdraw. We go back down to 1 at 5. Green does not have the cash on hand to buy that. Okay, so now we resolve this one, and I don't want to do this in front of you particularly. Here comes the problem. There's one more commodity available there, and with all these transport ships, they're not all filled up. Every player except for red has the capacity to carry 2 more goods at least. Well, there are only 2 weapons available, and that's all there is. You can buy ships, but with 2 weapons available, they have a sale price of C at 8, either 28 or 18. Now, the other weapons place is a B at 3 of only 5. So this is where we have to think. C at 8, 28. If I only buy 1, but probably both are going to sell, which means, here's the thing, they're essentially worth quite a bit of that money. Now, let's say I buy 2 at 5. Well, green's not going to get in on that bidding. They can't. But everyone else has the money available to get in on that bidding. And that sort of looks like it's the entry point here. But, I mean, even if I went up to 8, I'd still make $2, sort of. Except here's the problem. My ship that's transporting them there cost me $5. But that ship cost me $5 anyway, unless I want to get rid of it. And of course, ships might be cheaper than they appear. And that may be the thing. People may be abandoning their maintenance on ships. Unfortunately, they also have their factors in play, which is another thing to take. So the question comes down to, what is this actually worth? I can make $9 each on them, but their total value is, or I can, I make $9 per in terms of what I gross, but in terms of profit, I've got to spend what I spend off of it. So if I'm spending 6, I only make $3 each, and that's not much over the break even, but probably want to keep your ships. So let's see who's going to go for 5. It's everybody but red is interested. So blue is going to open this up, asking for 2 of them at a 5. Boom, boom. Okay, well, is it worth 2 at 6? Do I just want to jump to that? It's the break-even point. Let me give him an odd. No. Okay, so who goes for 2 at 6? It's either green or yellow. It's yellow. Yellow takes it at 2 at 6, and now the question becomes, is it worth going higher? Now, the world that I'm going to with this is Kingsburg. Kingsburg is red, right? No, Kimberly is reds, which means no one else has a terrible advantage there. Let's look at what Kimberly sells, though. They have a beast for sale. Beasts are very valuable. They have drugs for sale. Drugs don't look all that interesting. They're illegal on Earth, but we can make a fortune off them, I bet. Demand of 5. Or, and ships don't exist there. I wrote that down and it shouldn't be there. It has not been produced yet. Okay. Right then. So, is it worth going to the 7? We don't know. I'm going to roll for each person. It looks like there's a good modifier there. Nobody's going to do it, so yellow's going to pick up 2 of these for 6. Well, green wasn't going to buy it. Green's out of money. And blue's not going to buy it. Okay, 2 of them for 6, which is $12. And I get 2, this is weapons. The other one was industrial tech. I hope I put that down right. I've got like 5 med tech I screwed up. Red was the one who bought it. That was industrial tech, not med. Yep. Okay. So 2 weapons were bought, and now we go through the little process here of figuring this out. And this is the whole game, you know. I mean, there's the exploration segment, which is lots and lots of die rolling, too. So we're looking at weapons. There's a current production of 2. That's -2. The average sale price was 6 times 3/4. 6 times 3 is 18. 4. That drops it to 5. Which means we only end up with a +3 to the die roll. 5, 8. That means no change in the value. No charge. Excellent. Okay, that is Earth's commodities. I am pooped already. I think it's time for me to take a break. Where are those going? I have to write that down. Kingsburg, no, Kimberly. Let's just call it Kim. I need a break. I mean, you know, this was so fatiguing to try to do this reasoning for all 4 players on one place where they're all at. As the game expands, it's just going to get worse and worse. And I really don't know that I want to reveal too much, to play too much more of this, playing 4-handed, you know, with all this kind of really complicated assessment of the overall economic situation. Some people have suggested it would be better on a computer. It would be, I mean, the advantage on a computer is the computer takes care of everything. The disadvantage on the computer is that you're not looking necessarily at all the items quite as well. Now that may be okay. Like when you're playing something like the Paradox games or something, you quite often focus on certain things and you end up losing, like in Victoria or something, you may end up losing track of some of the economies that are available, some of the opportunities that are out there for you. And then this becomes as you start, you know, to focus on your own little economic sphere, that's where your attention's drawn to, and other people may not pay attention to it as much. And I can see where this mechanism for the economy would work well to provide that kind of framework. In fact, I think this game would be best with a lot of people and a computer-run model, and the bidding, you know, is handled. The problem is the bidding theoretically should be handled in real time, and the money, you know, in the sense that like it should be on all commodities at once, kind of like a stock market is. And of course, you know, what happens if you can't be bidding on multiple things at once, so then you get to the secret bid model, which never quite works. So I don't know. You know, I really have mixed feelings as to how viable this is as an opposed game. I may bring it and try to play it opposed, and then maybe come back with an actual review from that. But break right now. I'll probably look at a factor and show you the much easier calculation when you are the only person playing in the market. A couple more things I think I want to show before I pack this up. Yeah, we'll try to get an exploration in too, and obviously sales. Those won't be too hard because for the most part we know, people already kind of decided what their sales were going to be. So let's start with, I don't know who. Let's start with red since they're up at the top. We'll do their planet here, which is Kimberly. Well, Kimberly has beasts. They have one of them for sale and drugs for sale. Drugs are $1.50 on Earth. How do other people feel about drugs? Be it for, I mean, I can afford $1, right? I'll make money off of it. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to bid, there's 3 beasts for sale, right? No, that's consumption. There's only 1 beast for sale. So I'm going to bid $1 on that beast. That doesn't help keep the price in place. And the average sale price times multiplier, that gets us a sale price of 1 still, I think. I don't remember if it only rounds up on halves. Let's see. Find the goods. This is sales. We want purchases. Okay. Nearest whole number. So that's going to get us to a sale price of 0, which is not very good. We look up that factor. It's 101. Down here, he's going to have 1 beast, and we're also going to buy the other thing there, 1 drug. Remember, he can hold as much as he likes there. He's paying $1 each on those. The fact that I have a factor there doesn't necessarily mean I want to boost prices. Okay, so let's look at the beast first. The beast has a current demand number of 1. That's -1. And I'm not getting anything added to it. So if I roll kind of crappy here, I'm going to lose that 1 production. What happens if I lose that 1 production? No more are ever produced, so nobody can buy anymore. The only way you can get them is through advertising. 3, it's gone. The beast is gone. And that makes Kimberly a much less interesting place to have a factor. Of course, I got to keep the factor for that. Let's take a look at the drugs. The drugs I bought, I only bought 1 of them. So current demand is -2, and 1 of them at 1 means it's a -1 as well. So I could drop the value on those as well. And in fact, yes, it does. Kimberly is becoming an uninteresting place to have a factor, but I do want to pick up the product and carry it home. Okay, and we'll do this with each of the others. I'll walk away because you've seen the interesting part already. To you, no big shock. We got spices down to 0, visions down to 2. That's greens purchases, again at $1. Wrecking the markets, but is that terrible? Not really, because other people compete in them if they're good markets. What happens with 0 production, you can't advertise because you're not trying to sell anything. If the production's below 0, well, can't. You can increase the current production. You do this by bidding for 0 units. The money you bid is lost, and if that total bid is made, whatever that total bid is becomes the average sales price for 0 units, which you treat as 1, and then you can check a supply fluctuation based on that investment in the industry. Why you would want to do this, I'm not entirely sure, unless it's an area where other people for some reason aren't really terribly able to compete. I can't think of why that would be the case, though. The game is really a free enough market. You're not gaining anything from the investment itself. You're not gaining some stake in the industry. I wish you were. You bought the cheap products they have available to them. It might not be an absolutely optimal thing if you can't make more than a couple bucks per unit on it. It may not be worth buying at $1 even, but we'll see, because prices may fluctuate. You have your factor there, you could get rid of it. That's something you're paying $5 a turn for. So unless, so like the guy whose market collapsed, he doesn't want his factor there anymore. He's gonna abandon that factor once he gets the goods out of there, but that's the key. One thing about the supply and demand market. So I've got this kind of, what's going weird here? Like, if there's too much supply of something, if a market is not selling its goods at all, why is less being produced? Well, here's the thing. That may not be that there's less produced. There may be stockpile there and very little being produced. So you're not really saying, oh yeah, there would not be any available for sale. There still would be some available for sale. And it's kind of there's a little bit of hand waving going on there to say, yeah, the industrial base would grow right back up if there was a need for it. It probably wouldn't, but it all depends on what the time scale is, et cetera. And that's not absolutely clear at all. So I think there's an argument that can be made for the production system and the way it's designed. And what's interesting about all of this is then, okay, if it's giving you something reasonable, and there is a reasonable supply and demand system for the sale situation, you're just not in a position where you kind of control your sales, and you don't have as much control over the markets, but that may be a good thing. One of the problems with some of the other designs that I've liked for business and that handle supply and demand is you have too much control over the markets, and you can make a fortune off of them, or you can crush people with them, or whatever. This game doesn't seem to allow either of those extremes, and thus it provides a fair framework that has some some level of believability to how it operates. Certainly the sale makes sense if you accept the fact that, yeah, I'm in this glutted market and I've got this product and I could ship it somewhere else, but no, I am going to sell it anyway because I made that decision. You've somehow contracted it out. You've, like a consignment, essentially, and you've said, I'm selling this, and you get whatever you get for it. You have no way of pulling that market back. That feels a little odd. There could be a more complex system in play for it, but I think there's enough of a framework to make this game sensible enough. And then the question is it playable enough to be enjoyable? And it's not solo, but I'm intrigued by the idea of, what kind of player aids, what kind of method of recording these can we put, maybe separate cards for each planet or whatever, that would make this possible to access easily. I'll tell you the easiest way would be a fucking shared spreadsheet, and everybody's got their own computer, and then, where they can view it on, and, the server does the automatic updates of all the randomness. And it wouldn't be that hard to build. It's just, I don't know if it's that good. I don't know if it's that cool a game that you'd really want to do that. And once you do that, you put the whole thing on the web, essentially, and run it there. And I wonder if anybody's done it. Because the game almost begs for an electronic solution for the presentation of data. Because here's the thing. You've got one record of where everything is, and there has to be a singular record, essentially. And that's easiest distributed over, the network or whatever. And all the mechanical stuff with the price modification and everything could be handled under the hood that way over on the main version of it. There are other ways you could do it, but it's basically that you're sharing this piece of paper over many people, and that's probably the big advantage. Okay, what am I doing? I'm going to randomize who has to go first. I think that's the way you do this. All right, we'll look in the rolls again. What do we have? You know, we never checked for ships. I made the decision not to do that, but some people might want to buy ships. I mean, if you're buying ships at $1 each, does anybody have extra money that knew they were going to have extra money? Because they knew what the values they were going to have here. So let's have some bids on ships. Red has a couple of scouts anyway, but they'll throw maybe a bid in. Blue could probably use a ship, and green maybe could use a ship. So we'll make rolls for everybody. Red's not going to do it. Blue, 1 through 4, no. Green. Green's going to bid for 1 ship, and that's it. So they're bidding for a ship at 1. We'll show you how that works. I'm going to probably want another fleet for that to contain it. So we'll put that down. That's 313. Can use pen for this. We'll buy a scout this time. We got plenty of transports already. We buy a scout. We paid $1 for that. And now ships are handled like any other commodity. So we have ships here. The price modifier is huge on that. We could end up with no capacity to build ships. And that's something people may need to invest in. But, you know, people could share and agree. Hey, we're all working in the same area. Let's make sure some of these markets go back up, except that, like, unless there's collusion on the prices they're bidding and stuff, it may not, you know, give them much advantage. Okay, so supply modifier, current production was 2. Average sale price was 1 times 1/5 is 0, so we're at -2. Yeah, we lose a ship. So now Earth is only producing 1 ship a turn. Okay. But we have an extra ship for green. All right, now let's randomize. Let's check the rules and make sure that we do randomize. And we have to flip through because of all these stupid charts, right? Movement. Each player rolls. High roller goes first. And then it goes clockwise, I guess, or counterclockwise for me. All right, so yellow will be our first player to go. Where's yellow going? Yeah, right? Now we have to figure this out. I was sending 211 to Kimberly. Let's find 211, and we'll do its movement. Comes from here. Kimberly is somewhere. Kimberly's up here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a transport ship. It succeeds in making it, so we moved that ship. Our next one for yellow was I have a germ. Now germs were good at Libertas. Libertas is also where I've got a ton of stuff. I've got a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm going to actually combine my other 2 ships into a single fleet. Now I could write that as 1 fleet. You know, actually it's more important. I think I'm going to go for them separately. So first one, 2 through 5, and second one. And they both made it. That's great. Okay, so that's yellow. Yellow went, now we go to green. Where's green's ships going? And get rid of this. Green's ships, I've got a germ. Germs want it to go to Kimberly, I hope. God. Or was it Libertas? Libertas was the one who wanted germs, right? D5, yeah. Okay, so we'll try to send that to Libertas, and that's 310. I don't have anything else to send there. Unless Alpha C really likes germs. Now, I could shift things around. Nah, they really don't. So we'll go to Libertas. Okay, we make it to Libertas with that ship. All right, and now we go to the next green ship, which has 2 med tech. Now, that was, I think, all the med tech there is. Now, there's a third one sitting in Blue's hands. Where did we want to go with our med tech? Well, we wrote that down. We want to go to Alpha Centauri. So we'll trust that. And again, it's distance, ooh, that's only distance 4. So that's really easy to get to. And we make it there. Oops, I sent the wrong ship. I sent 313 there. I just piled it on top. Where did we go? Alpha Centauri, that's ours. This ship we're not sending yet. 312. Well, my stuff is down here. I've got 4 stuff. I'm going to try to send that other ship to pick up the goods that I've already bought. And it makes it. And now this third one, I want to send it. This is a scout. Scouts use 3 dice instead of 2, and I can send it fairly far out. I'm going to send this third ship out in this direction. 3, 6, 9. That sounds pretty fair. I kind of don't want to screw up, but I also want to be kind of far from planets. That is over a 9, so I've made it there. We'll have an exploration roll there in a bit. Okay, great. That's green's turn. Red. Red is next. Red has 2 industrial tech. Now, where was I sending this? I don't remember. A at 6, that doesn't sound very good. How about D at 5? That sounds pretty good. But C at 6 might be better. So now it's Giles World versus Alpha Centauri. Alpha Centauri has a couple of fission production, whereas this has medicine and liquor production. Which one do we want to go to? They're about equal, right? Let's look them up. D at 5 for 2 is 10. C at 6 for 2 is 12. Let's make the extra bucks. They look about equal otherwise. So we were looking at med tech, industrial tech, C at 6. So we want to go to Giles World. Giles World is up there. This is ship 112, which is our last ship, and it is flying, that's probably a 5. Oops, we randomized. Okay, randomized means we roll to see how far it goes. So first, we roll to see how many movement points it has. It only has 2 movement points. Now we see its direction. We'll use red for the top. Its direction will be 2, 3. Hey, it stays in the same space. So our ship that we want it to send out stays on Earth. That's not really a bonus because we can always buy stuff at Earth in our home planet. Selling stuff at Earth is a little iffy. Okay, our other 2 ships are both scouts. Where's our home? Our home's out this way. We want to send at least one of them out that way. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 9, it's screwed too. Distance, it's going to go 4 spaces from Earth. 5, 4 to the right. 2, 4. We end up there. Our other ship, well, we'll send it the same place. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Is this actually too close? 2, 5, 8, 11 to here. And we'll send this here, I guess. Okay, 10. Let's see if we make it. 12, 14, we do. Who's this guy? This, I don't know what happened now. 112 was, I screwed up. Okay. 112 is the one that didn't go anywhere. That was the one I needed to deliver my goods. So I'm not going to make money Luckily, I have some left because other people, like yellow, if they don't make it to their destination, they might bankrupt. They don't have the funds to pay off their stuff, and we might see bankruptcies anyway. I tried playing it solo just to see the mechanism in play. Anyway, let's go to blue. Blue has one germ and one medtech. Can we combine those? Germ wanted to go to Libertas or somewhere else. Didn't I have a bigger germ? Yeah, Libertas looks like where we're going. Do we want medtech there? A B4. There were better places for medtech, but there's a C6. Yeah, we'll split them up. And I don't want to calculate is basically the thing. We look for 410. He's got the germ. He was going to go to Libertas. I don't know where Libertas is anymore. This, yeah. So that's 5. We make it. The next one had a medtech. That's 411. I don't remember where medtech was going. Medtech was going to go to Alpha C. Maybe. Other people went there though. Jaws World has a D at. Okay, so we might choose differently. MedTech. Yeah. So, and this is where it gets ugly, right? D at something. D at 2. That's only worth $3. That's definitely not interesting. MedTech. B at 4. That's only worth 7. And I'd be giving someone else a bonus, which is why the C at 6 one that's so good is where I have to go. So that is, and I make more money too, so it's perfectly fine. That's Alpha Centauri. That's 4 or 5 away. Looks like 4. We make it there. Okay. One last ship is 412. This is my ship. I'm going to send it to pick up the stuff that I've got. A beast and a drug or whatever. That's 5 away. And we make it there. Now we go to exploration. I need a little bit of a breather. Let's see if we get any exploration here. If a fleet containing at least a scout ends a movement in an empty square. Well, all right, let's look at this one. This is, and I can't read the counters. Looks like 313 green. 313 green is a scout. I roll 2 dice. If it's less than or equal to the distance to the nearest star, we get a chit. All right, 2, 4, 7. That was our best chance. I'm going to flip this guy over so I know not to check him again. 110. 110 is a scout. Even though I misjumped, I can still try. I'm only 2 away from the nearest star, though, so it's not likely. Okay. The misjump here doesn't help me at all, but up here I have 111. That's another scout. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I hope we get one. It would be nice to see how this works. Hey, we do. Excellent. Okay. So this is what we do. We pull one of these. And this is going to be Entrada, a C-class planet. All right. Refer to the number of goods produced table, see charts, and roll 2 dice. And cross-reference with the world code for each type. Okay. Goods produced. So let's go over here. Number of goods produced. Okay, and we have to start this planet, so I'm not going to be playing much more. Entrada. All right. Here's the prod. We have a price multiplier and a curve production. The price multiplier I don't think ever changes, but I wrote it in pencil just because. Okay. How many goods are we producing? C. Well, some. 9. We're going to be producing 3 goods. So now we go here, world code, and the more that I produce as a C means the less that I'm going to gain when I go up. So I roll here on what type I get. And it's not too exciting here. 3 is liquor. Let me write that down. Let's get the next one. 2 is spice. And the last one, 8 is more spice. We get to roll again. They will produce the amount that they say. No matter how many times I have to go. It's booster spice. We'll just put that as booster. Okay. Now we have to figure out the price and multiplier. Okay. And the current production. I think current production... Yeah, I don't remember that. Let me get the price multiplier down, and then we'll worry about current production. Price multiplier looks like 3 dice. We'll go for the first one. It's a 14. That's 1 3/4. And again, I don't think this will ever change when I'm putting it down this way. Spice, 12, 1 1/2. This is how, easy it is to produce this stuff, more or less. And the final one is only an 8. It's a 3/4. So the booster spice is hard to produce there. Which is to say, we probably won't get much production. How much is our current production? And we've kind of bonused, because now our scout can buy something next turn. Of course, other people could just buy a factor there for $10, So if it's that good a place, it isn't a big advantage to finding something. It's not a D-class world, so I don't get piles of money for that, which is why exploration's not that great. Unless you find the D-class worlds, you're not getting anything for it particularly, except a market that your ship is in, but you got to pay $5 for your ship. Exploration looks pretty crappy. Having 2 scouts was a horrible idea, I'm sure. So goods produced, right? And the name of the good. Roll the goods produced them a number of times. Write the name of each good. Initial price multiplier, initial production. It is a 1, no matter what the planet starts as. So current productions for all 3 of these are 1. Now we do something similar. I'll leave some space because that's a lousy planet if I go 30 turns or whatever. Consumption, demand, what I forgot before, mod, and number demanded. And we see what it wants. And we hunt through the thing. Number of goods consumed. It's 2 dice. It's 12. Well, it's a lot. 6 goods consumed. And now we go to this other table here, which is over here, and see what we get. 10. We want drugs. 5, we want spice. Okay, we both produce and consume spice. Is that a problem? That's a good question. That's a good question. I thought that would be prevented, because otherwise we can just set up a factor there and buy and sell the goods. Of course, again, if it's a real difference and it's a real value, more than one person will do it. Doesn't look like there's any refusal for production and demand, which that's a little weird, but okay. We want wine. I feel like I'm playing Age of Renaissance or something. 4 is spice again. 7. Booster spice, which we also produce. Yeah, I see this as kind of a problem. And the last one is 10, is drugs. We already, oh no, this is second to last. We have to roll a lot. 5. Do we just take everything? Med tech. We want med tech. And one more. Yeah, bell curves suck when you're trying not to get the same number. And there's almost nothing that's missing, but we're looking for, you know, the number that'll come up. In this case, it's beasts. All right. So that's an interesting planet, and somebody would probably want to install a factor there for a while. It kind of sucks that if you're the person who discovers it, you don't really get any benefit, except that you've got to ship there for one turn. Okay, and now we got other roles we have to do here. Demand letter modification. That's a demand letter table. Apparently there are tables for all of this, which is more or less what we'd expect. Price multiplier, demand letters. So now we roll all these up. 7 is an A for drugs. Spice, at least I don't have to re-roll for these. 5 is an A. This isn't a very good market. Wine, so far, is an A. Booster spice is an A. Medical tech, 9 is a D. That's appealing if the numbers are high enough. And beasts, 9 is a D. Again, if the numbers are high enough. Now we go to the demand modifier and number table. This will be the same for each. You roll a single die and add a modifier based on the good. Some goods being more demanded than others. And I have to swap my battery because I think it's going to bail on me again. Drugs has a +2 modifier. Nothing's illegal, you know, at these new planets. No special effects on them. Okay, so there are 3. There's a +3 mod for drugs, and 3 of them occur. Spice has a +2. Same thing, +3 and 3. These are basically non-entities in terms. Wine, okay, we want +7 on wine and 7 of them. Booster spice, 5 + 6 is +11, and it wants 11 of them. That's a table I want to look at. The 11 on A. They're probably going to pay a fair amount for that. Yeah, it's getting up to the prices where even with an A, it's worth delivering there. Med tech. Med tech's only +3. That's a 4. +4 and 4, but that's on the D table, and that's pretty rich too. And beasties are only +1, but we get 7 of those. So there are some good markets here. There's no question about that. And that's our discovery. We've discovered all our planets. We didn't load anything up on the scouts. There was nothing really to buy that was extra. So now we go to the sales, and the sales are not that complicated. We've seen what they're doing in terms of, while we were trying to decide what to buy, we looked at what to sell, right? So let's just jump to a planet. This guy is on Earth, 112. I don't believe he can possibly have anything useful. He's got 2 industrial tech on Earth. Earth does not want that, so I can't turn that into my money. So let's take a look at this planet here, Alpha Centauri, which has Blues 411 has a med tech, and 311 and 312 2 med tech. So we're trying to sell 3 med tech here at Alpha Centauri, and it's a good price, I assume. It's a C at 6. 3 of them sold. They're worth 9 each. There are no special rules anywhere except Sol for selling. So green sells 2 med tech for 18 bucks. That puts me up to 21. Blue sells their med tech for 9 bucks. See if everybody went bankrupt. That'll be the interesting thing. My factor is here with 3 fission and a spice, but of course these things aren't screwed up on the initial planets. They don't produce and sell in the same place. So I guess I can do the rest of the planets, and then we can do the income here. What are we at? Kimberly. Kimberly basically has 211 on it. 211 has 2 weapons. Kimberly, weapons. Oh, we forgot to, yeah, we got to do the price, the effect of selling all those med tech. So we just sold 3 med tech on Alpha Centauri. The demand modifier, current demand modifier on Alpha Centauri for med tech is +6. Actually, that never goes away. Current demand is -6. Current demand modifier is +6. It just means we roll. It doesn't matter that we gave them any. They may want more because they got some. They may want less because they got some. What goes weird is if you get off the modifier, you start heading back towards it. So we got a 5. That's going to be a -1. So we find Kimberly, med tech, and it goes down to a 5. Whee, that was fun. And that's what you're going to see with these. Now, what was the one I was going to next? No, I hope that was Kimberly that I was supposed to do. I can't fucking remember what's going on. Is that this Kimberly? Okay, we did Alpha Centauri though, not Kimberly. This was Alpha Centauri. Okay, fair enough. We were at Kimberly. Kimberly's up here with 211. And you can see, okay, 2 weapons at Kimberly. 2 weapons. It's a C at 8. So we do the lookup. C at 8, 2 weapons, 18 bucks. I get to get rid of these 2 weapons. And now I have 18 bucks. Yeah, but that doesn't pay for 3 ships, a factor, and a home base. Huh? Yep. Playing solo, I was able to make a little money. Playing opposed, I think you're going to go bankrupt real quick. Of course, bankrupt just means you start shedding resources like ships and stuff. And then it becomes easier to make money when you're not competing with everyone. But at the very beginning of the game, you're competing with everyone at Sol. Which, of course, if somebody with scouts had fallen on a D planet, maybe they have a pile of money and they can, you know, operate at a bigger, better level than everyone else. We have to figure out the consumption on that. This is Kimberly weapons, 8-8. It really doesn't matter because we're at even. 5, that's a -1 to the demand. And I can't erase without putting my elbow on it. Okay. That's all that was at Kimberly. Let's go to the next one. The next one is over here at John's World, and basically we only have 412 there, which has nothing on board. We're just picking crap up there. Our final one appears to be L, whatever that is, and everybody's here. because this is where medicine, germs. Okay, so 310 is holding a germ, 210 is holding a germ, 212 has nothing, and 410 is holding a germ. So we're selling 3 germs here at Libertas. Germs are D at 5. D5, 3, they're $8 each. So blue, yellow, and green each get rid of a germ and get $8. And we're all out of money. Okay. Now comes the problem. Like I said, we're all out of money. Let's look at the different people. So blue has $25 in expenses. 3 ships, this, and the thing. It's time to cut things back, and I got to cut back quite a bit. I do have 3 medicine and 2 liquor, and I'll have to decide what I want to keep. So I'm probably going to keep that, and I'm going to keep my ship that's there, and that's $10. I have to keep my home planet. That puts me to 15. I've got $9 in cash left to play with. Do I want to keep another ship, or do I want to delete those? These are the decisions that have to be made at this point. Obviously, I wasn't making a good enough profit margin, but trying to deliver what you can before you pay your maintenance seems to make sense, and then you cut back at that point. Let's look at Red's cash influx. Well, Red only has $8, and Red's big ship, 112, is sitting here with 2 industry tech that I paid a lot for. And I've got this. I've got to spend $10, $15. I've got to dismantle something that is worth something. And so there are questions. I can dismantle ship 112 and put the industrial tech aboard my home base, and then all I've got is my factor and hope that maybe people will buy stuff from me. Well, that sounds pretty garbage. There really aren't many other options available, and Red is probably in really bad shape. They might be able to sell stuff to somebody who is near them. They're gonna need a ship to be able to transport goods and make money, unless they have $10 for a factor here to spend that. Let's take a look at Yellow. Yellow's got $26 and 25 to spend. They got to keep this, and they got to keep their home base. That's 10. This because it's got stuff in it. I have my ships there. Is this my capital? Yeah. So I've got 2 ships there, which means I can haul 4 of this stuff out of there anyway. And I may want to just throw away or sell something to someone else. And these were all things I got for $1, so I can probably sell it, for a couple bucks and whatever. And keep my transport capability, get rid of the factor there, and then hope that I can deliver things and make money off of it. Green up here, they bought an extra ship. Ooh, that was a mistake. 2, 4, 5, 6. They owe $30. They have 29. They have a lot of extra ships. At 301, my capital, I have 2 of my ships. Given that I can carry 4 things, I probably want to keep those 2 ships, remove my factor rather than pay $5 for him. Keep my capital, that puts me to $15 I have to spend. I have some good sales here. And then maybe keep my scout and hope that I can find like a D world as I go further and further out. I don't know. Anyway, you've seen all the mechanisms in play. And as I said, this is a nightmare to solo. I'm not sure that it's going to play all that much better, though, with 4 people trying to share reading off of these things and reading off of the charts, etc. I almost feel like everybody's got to have their own copy of all the information available, the charts and tables, not the rule book obviously, and all the tracking of the values of the planets. I'm not sure that I can do that, unless there's some sort of player aids available somewhere that can make this work. I was thinking, I'd love to bring this to down to the game store. I think there's aspects of this the guys that play there would actually get a real kick out of, but I don't know how to make this thing work so it's playable, at least in that environment. Like if there was a huge whiteboard to track all this information on and give everybody photocopies of, all the charts and tables that generate stuff. We probably don't need the exploration tables, but you need the price table. And you probably want the modification table. For tracking these, you could do something like Mr. P, Mr. President, and everybody's keeping their own little sheets and recording everything that's going on, and everybody's got their own little booklet. It's hard enough though to be keeping the 5 initial planets plus whatever is gained in an early a short period of time. It's a really daunting thought of how to make this thing work in a group nowadays. And also I look at the amount of thought that you have to put into figuring out where you want to deliver stuff and what you want to sell and what you're doing. And I think about that in an environment where, there's distractions going on, like at a game store or at an event or something like that. And man, I don't see it, I see it just being hugely frustrating trying to figure out how all this is going to work. I am beginning to buy into the economic model, though, as being, as good as any other that I've seen in a game. I think it works. It's not perfect. It's not an absolute model. The ones that try to perfectly model open themselves up to flaws because they're a game being played by a very limited number of players whose goals are win the game by having the highest value, which, is going to almost invariably put them in a try to make other people fail rather than, I don't mind being the biggest player, but I really don't want to be bankrupt, and I don't want to play close to the edge of being the guy of being one of the people who collapses. But I want to be making money, right? I want to profit. I'm in the wrong line of business. I could be collecting cans. If all I'm doing is losing money in the game at a slower rate than everyone else, and that's not the case with this game, and that makes it much, much more interesting. The other games that kind of succeed also don't have realistic models of everything that's going on. They abstract away a lot of that stuff, a lot of the tools that you can use in a truly, truly destructive, competitive, monopolistic type environment to come out as the only one who exists. And that's the only way that you can make sense out of business strategy, for example. That and Executive Decision are the two games that seem to emphasize the idea of completely destroying your opposition because presumably you'll get a monopoly out of it that can't be challenged by anyone else ever. No matter how badly you run your company and whatever, how far in debt you are or whatever. And that's, to me, not a believable model. This one presents a more believable gestalt, a more believable overall story than those do, even if the specific elements of the model are glossed over a little bit. You're not really dealing with straight supply and demand processes. You're not dealing with this, I'll put this up for this price. Honestly, bidding doesn't really work either in those games. So, there's kind of a, how come, I can't just react? Why is it that my price is fixed and I can't undercut you continuously? Yeah, because it's a game, All right. that's all I have to say with this. I'm not going to do a review, obviously. The only way I could do a review is if I can get people to, you know, if I can figure out a way to play this. And if I do that, I'll have to show you the differences that make it possible. I've babbled for far too long, but this one really, really interested me. And I can see why it's being kind of sold as a good economic model. I think it's a good enough economic model to hang the rest of this game on, and that it won't give you, you know, that the overall show seems to be pretty good. What about my, you know, collapse here? Well, look, you know, that's the, yeah, I can make money off of this shipment. Everybody, these companies, there's too many companies going for the starting, you know, for the starting situation in 4 players. I think that's what the situation is. You can't have this many companies this rich. But there were some that were just hosed by this, that were in a position where they spent too much money, Red especially because of the failed jump, etc. So anyway, let's send this up, and that's about all I really have to say about it. I don't know what I'm going to do next. It's going to take some prep because I doubt that I'll start anything tonight, and tomorrow's dancing, and Saturday's probably going to the store, so a game store. So yeah, who knows? We'll try to get something excited inside of me.